Friday, we hooked up with Robert, One Bad JK. He had pulled the permit for Coyote Canyon. So Coyote Canyon, I guess, is one of the hardest public trails in Moab. It's a hard trail, and it starts right out of the gate. You've got some big obstacles. That was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed, I think the whole group really enjoyed Coyote Canyon, and we appreciate Robert having us tag along on his permit. So.
Yes, sir, this is my wife, my beautiful, lovely wife, Jennifer Beck, and as we were just talking off camera, this is the one that gets us into all this trouble. Out on the trail, it's usually left or right, and she always picks the hard line. Coyote Canyon was the same way. Do you want to run Coyote Canyon? Oh, I already got the permit for it. So, there we go.
I encourage bad behavior.
I don't know if it's a product of being a limited use trail to where it's not getting the sand slung all over it all the time, or if it's just kind of a different environment in that wash over there, but the grip was very high. The rocks were not dusty or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, wheel speed was not so much of a factor there. There were a few of the longer, like the JKs and stuff, where they had to use wheel speed a couple times just to just kind of get into a spot.
Oh, all right, let's winch it.
Yeah, I would definitely rate this one a 10.5 out of a 10. So definitely harder than Pritchett Canyon.
Much worse, much worse. Body damage for sure. As far as how tough it is, it's about as tough as you're gonna get out here.
What I will say is once you go through the gatekeeper or up to the gatekeeper on this trail, it's on. Game is on from that point forward, and you can get hung up anywhere on the trail. You can have a hard time anywhere on the trail, and it doesn't stop until you drive back out.
And those are the kind of trails that I really enjoy. The shorter trails that are extremely technical and you have to kind of get everybody through them. It's like a puzzle, basically.
Oh, that went my shifter.
It's almost like the entire time you're trying to get past a big obstacle. There's a few spots where you're just kind of bopping through, but when you're bopping through, it's like big rocks that you're kind of getting through. There's parts of it, not necessarily the scenery, but the difficulty level that I would say kind of compares to like Sledge at Hammers, or Warpath in Las Cruces for people that are familiar with that trail. It was kind of similar to that in spots. It's a good, really difficult trail. I definitely think most people would consider that extreme.
Oh, it's pretty cool so far. Yeah, looking forward to this obstacle. I don't know if you've seen this yet or not.
No, I haven't.
But there's a bunch of rocks.
Is it better?
In my professional opinion, someone may get stuck here, yes. Yes, I could see that happening.
You know, we were kind of getting through it. There's one hard obstacle kind of right at the beginning, and then we got to the second, what I would consider like one of the more extreme obstacles that you have to get through. And it's also kind of a, you know, you got to go right and then left. But in order to get right, there's a massive, like almost, it's a boulder, but it's kind of got like a pointy ledge on it. And then you got a boulder on the left, and there's like a V, kind of little tiny V up the middle.
Your next big thing is like this off-camber rock. And then you've got to kind of go up and around it. Your rail hits it, it spins you around, and then you've got to kind of drive through it without falling down. And then once you get through that, you kind of navigate another bigger rock in front of you and you're through.
There was one really big, nasty, basically almost like a Z, where you had to go in, come up a ledge to your right while you're working through some massive boulders, and then you had to cut back to the left. And it was tough for the longer guys, except for Rock Buggy because of the rear steer. Yeah, so Robert went through there. He was just picking up driver front tire just over and over, and Atlas is on his build list. If he could have used a front dig, he would have been able to pull the front end around, but he didn't. So yeah, he had to reposition a few times, and ultimately we ended up winching his front end around because the passenger front just would not push past a little ledge that it needed to come around about 6 inches, and it just was, I mean, he had some big air.
Yeah, big. Electrical tape? Turn driver. I actually never felt bad in there. When you do get it up that high, luckily you're not going anywhere in that canyon, because if it does fall over, it's not going to go over but 6 or 8 inches. We'll pull it back over. Somebody probably stand on it and probably pull it back down. Two-door, more two-door friendly, narrow vehicle, and that squeeze definitely pivot around that rock a whole lot better than the four doors did, or something with a long wheelbase.
Just tight squeezes, and four doors don't have it quite as well.
Now come up.
Go ahead and come up.
Yeah. It should push you over. Here, hold it on. You grabbed the same place you did. Hold right there. There you go.
I jumped in rock buggy and I drove rock buggy through, and it's one of those times when it's amazing 5 degrees, 10 degrees of rear steer, what that will do for you when you're in a situation like that. Everyone with an Atlas disengaged their rear, did a front dig over, put their Atlas back in and drove out. It was pretty simple.
So I got in there another time when, you know, having a spotter would have been a huge difference, because I got in there by myself and I thought I was way further left than I was.
That's a tall climb on that side.
The last time I got up on there and just boom. So the rear drive shaft, the CV just completely exploded. Yeah, that is kind of out of character for us. And I think had I had Jason here spotting me, it would have been a completely different situation. But sometimes it happens As far as I've been doing Rockstar events, Rockstar Garage events, it's been, this is the first time I've broken with you guys, so it's a pretty good track record. So luckily, Robert's friend Eric had kind of like a junker drive shaft in his truck. And at that point, we had moved enough of the group forward to where Robert was able to kind of buzz out because he had made it past the last obstacle. Again, this trail is only 0.65 miles long. So he buzzed out with Eric and they went down to the truck and picked up the junk drive shaft, which was luckily set up the same way on the CV side as I was. And they ran it back to the front of the trail.
Here you go. Thanks.
Trey doesn't break anything. So for Trey to break was pretty nuts for all of us. So we back him down and I jump under there because I haven't got to work on a CJ the whole trip. So I wanted to work on a CJ.
Mission after that, come back to the main parking area where you were doing this fantastic interview and getting a spare drive shaft out of a pickup truck to run back into the trail. And I ran the exit back up to bring the drive shaft back up there. He's our mechanic. Luckily, he built this one right behind us. So luckily he had the spare drive shaft and, you know, we come right back out and he did fantastic on the trails today, I believe, and he didn't break nothing.
Nick started working with Cameron to get Cameron through that big nasty part that was after the spot where I broke.
Driver hard. Okay.
I wear contacts and I have a fairly strong prescription, and as I've gotten older over the last few years, I've realized that while I'm wearing my contacts, to see anything up close whatsoever, I need reading glasses. And then of course I needed to do work up close, so I couldn't see anything. So initially I was actually kind of getting frustrated with it, and I was like, I don't think we have the parts, I'm just gonna turn around and go back. Eventually it ended up like Chris was being my eyes while I was like banging on the hammer and stuff like that. So Chris was a huge help. I would have probably either without the reading glasses or without Chris just telling me what to hit and what to do because he could see and I couldn't, I would have probably just given up and like turned the Jeep around and gone back. He got through the little Z-turn crevice thing that seemed to be the most difficult part when you're looking at the trail. But then right after that, there is just a squeeze where you've got like a pointy rock coming out. And I think everyone touched their driver rear on that to some capacity. And I think Cam got it the worst.
Nick, you want to come up here?
Cam was pinched in this thing pretty good. I had rock buggy ahead of him. I flipped around into it, and then I pulled up on the hill a little bit, and I threw my winch up and around a giant boulder on the side. Gary and I threw a big tree saver up there, and then we threw one of our Factor 55 pulleys on there. And so we ended up pulling his Jeep off of the rock, and then he drove out of it.
He got wedged and they were trying to winch the cage in a certain direction. And unfortunately, the way the cage was hooked up when they winched it, that's what actually crunched his tub.
Oh, hey. Yep. Hang on. Jesus, turn that way.
Gary was testing out the new Baja Boss 42s, and he really seemed to enjoy them. They were hooking up really well for him. He said they were hooking up better than most DOTs, so almost kind of like a sticky, like a mild sticky.
Rear locker on. Go, turn off. Rear locker on. All right. Now straighten out. Just like that. You're out. Turning driver corner. Move past. Passenger now. There you go. Gary! He's over! Walk that rock right there. Go back passenger a little bit. Yep, right there. Don't let that door hit the rock.
Yeah, the Z-turn actually, it wasn't that hard. You know, Nick did a good job spotting me, and so I appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, I just kind of got in there, and I was able to do a front dig to get my front end around, and that was a huge help. And I just kind of cruised through that spot.
Bring your rear lock. Come forward, hard driver. Get her turn. I don't know how I think that. Yeah, take your rear out. Hang on. Stop right there. Take your rear out. Put your rear in. Straighten out. Right out of there. I don't know how you do it.
It's kind of weird because you've got the rock that's pointing out that wants to do the damage, and then there's a hole right under it, and then right in front of it there's a rock that you start to lift up on. So, and then on the right side you've got really high rocks. And so in my Jeep, it's pretty flexy, so I just kind of barely touched the rock on the left because I went real high on the right.
Stay there.
That's what he was doing, yeah.
Once you get through those three, you get up to like one more kind of like a mildly difficult climb. And when you get past that, it's like you're on a dirt road. So you're just kind of cruising along for a little while. And then you kind of start dropping down, and it's basically like a couple hundred feet of a boulder field while you're dropping off of stuff. So it's a pretty cool exit to the trail, especially after you thought you were done and you're up on top and you're kind of on a dirt road, and then you hit that kind of stair step down on the boulder. So that was a pretty cool exit. Even with the brake, once we got the drive shaft fixed, just kind of cruised through Coyote Canyon, which I think is a pretty good feat. So yeah, I'd say it was a successful EJS, and I had a lot of fun. Always great seeing the group, fun wheeling with them. So it was a good time.
That kind of wrapped up our whole Moab trip. And you know, our next big event coming up is going to be the Great American Crawl in West Virginia. I'm super excited to get back out there, take this thing out there and see what it can do. We're going to take Gridlock as well out there and have some fun. Catch you guys on the next one.
This, I don't know if I can get in this thing.
There it is. He's still flexible.
I guess this is the brake. No?
Bluetooth connected.